we doing, boys? So, people got real weird about that Mandela Effect video. So a couple weeks ago, I made a video about the Mandela Effect, a phenomenon in which a large number of people remember something happening or existing in a specific way, whether it's a film or a logo or a news story, even though said thing never existed, or at least never existed in the way in which they remember. As a primary example for this point, I used the film Shazaam, a movie from 1994 that supposedly starred the comedian Sinbad. I would definitely recommend checking out that video before watching this one, because this video is sort of a addendum to it, or sequel. I don't know. It's a response. But essentially I boiled down the science behind how we access our memories and how that process can often get our wires crossed to cause us to misremember things. But I was not prepared for what was going to come after. I got over 100 comments on this video, which is more than I've ever gotten on almost any of my other videos. And so many of them were peddling conspiracy theories or insisting that they saw the video, and just, I had to share some of these with you because they're so crazy. Now I'm blurring the usernames and I'm not encouraging anybody to go back and find these people and bully them in my comments or anything like that. And I don't believe in creators dunking on or making fun of the people that support them and enjoy their content, but most of these people didn't enjoy the video and they're kind of crazy. And I'm the big brother and they're my little sibling minding their own business in the shallow end of the pool. And we're gonna do some dunking. First, I'm gonna address all the comments saying that they saw this movie right away in just one blanket comment. So, you know, you, and you. I'm just gonna say right now, no you didn't.
There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how.
This movie isn't real. It never was. There was one guy in my comments who kept linking the same YouTube video that supposedly proved that this movie existed, and it was the same video from Fandom Wire that was produced back in 2017 that was a parody of this entire situation. And if that's not obvious, I mean, just look at Sinbad in this video, and then look at a picture of him from the 90s. He's clearly so much older. Dumb. It's dumb. Call Dwight Howard and get dumped on. Nerds. Now we're gonna look at some of the more entertaining comments, starting with this one. This not true. I remember seeing it as a kid on Sky, not stupid. So the real question, what was in that film that people are no longer allowed to know was a crime court on camera? Did the children stars of the movie end up on Epstein Island? What are they hiding? Or just maybe this is part of the distraction? Big question mark. So after you decipher this codex of what appears to be an attempt at the English language, they're saying that the FBI covered up this movie because the kids wound up on Epstein Island, and it's all part of a big distraction. You know what, bud? If you can give me those kids' names, I'll look into it. But until then, I'm just gonna assume you're a liar on the internet, which you are. I hope you like coffee, you fucking donut. Get dunked. All right, and next up we got this guy. He says, if you don't understand quantum computing and CERN, just say that. Shazam did happen, just not in this timeline. He's piqued my interest. We're gonna keep reading. The Mandela situation happened during the peak time of the Montauk Project, which was the origin of the CERN tech, as well as showcasing example of what quantum computing is depicting at an overhead perspective, interlacing dimensions. Go read the CIA analysis of the gateway process. It will lift the veil on how this all works. Holographic universe. The most important thing to retain in all this is that the elite of our generation genuinely believe the rest of us to be too incompetent or emotionally unstable to handle the gravity of reality around us, especially mixing in their experimentation. Ignoring the collective consciousness that taps into those memories of an alternate timeline is a big mistake. Okay, now this comment is actually kind of interesting because I got at least a dozen other comments claiming that the entire Mandela Effect phenomenon was an invention of the CIA, or a result of CIA experimentation, a result of the CERN super collider, or in some cases, all three of those. Like these comments here. This movie existed. I saw it with my own two eyes. CERN has thrown the world into an alternate universe that totally sucks. Fair if true. I was born in 1971, so yes, I have seen this movie. It is 100% real. What is strange is that there are lingering memories from the transition, which causes us to remember things that never happened in this weird timeline that we are currently living in. And then this one that says, I remember this movie. Mandela Effect is a CIA creation. Now here's the thing, I'm absolutely not naive enough to say that the CIA doesn't do absolutely insane things and hasn't done absolutely insane things, or had a hand in things like MK Ultra, the Iran-Contra scandal, the Pakistani vaccines, attempted weather modification, the Cuba false flag hijacking plan, and many others. I'm not not saying the CIA are good guys, and I'm also not saying they don't do crazy shit. And the Montauk Project, which was an alleged group of experiments that took place beneath Montauk, New York in the 1980s, which involved attempted time travel and interdimensional experimentation, was very likely real. But the key word here is attempted, because if the American government had real actual access to something as powerful as time travel, time dilation, interdimensional travel, or anything like that, do you really think that the only ripples we'd be feeling from that is a letter being changed in Berenstain Bears, or that a movie that you thought existed in the 90s doesn't exist? You don't think we'd be living in a world that has always been and always will be under the control of some sort of American super empire? Get real. The 90s called. They want their Dunkaroos back. And that ties into this next comment here, which says, nice gaslighting video. No, Occam's razor scientifically says that you are wrong, because your supposition requires the most amount of leaps without evidence or proof to make work. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm sorry, I just need to... Are you telling me that my explanation, which relies on the solid science we have on human memory, how that memory is accessed, and how those memories are compartmentalized and physically stored inside of our brains, requires more leaps in logic than the theory that we are in an alternate dimension that we crossed into when the CERN super collider was booted up in 2008. I don't understand how you think that that's the case, but whatever. We also have this comment that says, I used to work at Blockbuster and we had several copies of the movie. Ironically, I still have an order book from Blockbuster that lists it as what we had in stock. Post it publicly, and I will recount both of these videos. Until then, I hope you're ready for a fastball, because you're getting done. This one says, Shazam and the beginning explanation at the beginning you gave Kazam are two different movies. Yes, I know, that was the point. Kazam with Shaq was in theaters with one boy. 2 years before the theatrical Kazam with Shaq, there was a made-for-TV movie called Shazam, and there's two kids, a boy and a girl. Okay, so it's a made-for-TV movie. Maybe that makes a little bit more sense. Maybe that's why I couldn't find any records of it. This might go somewhere. In 2008, they fired the black hole-making collider, and shit changed for some, but not for all. Okay, so we're back to CERN, again, with this guy. My father is in the Navy and was in Africa in the 1980s. He recalls Mandela dying in prison and his wife on trial for burning people to death by putting car tires around them, filled with gasoline. They tortured regular citizens, and they were both executed in the 80s. When Mandela died in the mid-2000s, wrong, he died in 2013, not the mid-2000s, not one picture of the body during the funeral. I served overseas and I saw things that you say never happened, because fun times, fake Mandela effect. My guy, the body was in the coffin and the funeral was televised globally. What more proof do you need? You know what? I'll pay for you to fly to South Africa and exhume the remains yourself. How about that? Would that satisfy you? Or would it just mean that the Matrix inserted the corpse into the coffin just before you got there to keep you from discovering its secret? This one says, as a child, I rented a VHS tape. No idea which one, and there was a Shazam movie trailer on the VHS tape. Oh, really? A trailer? That's awesome. That's awesome. I would love to see some sort of solid evidence about that. If you have it, I would love to actually do a video on this movie. So cool. Let me know where I can find it. Oh, but wait, they go on to say it was just the movie cover art with coming soon in the rating. No video at all of the movie, and I never saw the movie after that. I 100% saw that teaser trailer though. That's not really a trailer. That's just kind of like a poster on a VHS tape. And I mean, I used to watch hella VHS tapes as a kid. And I'll tell you one thing, I have literally never seen a VHS tape that had a promo for a movie that was literally just a still image. It always had, most of mine started with that guy saying,
coming soon to own on DVD.
Not all VHS ads started like that, but they did always function as ads, so I don't really see how that works. I mean, how is it gonna hold a 5-year-old's attention and make them run screaming to their parents to go buy that movie? That's like the point of marketing to children, right? Like to get them so hyped up that they can't even sit still anymore until they get the thing that like you just advertised to them. This one here says, take your video down. Shaq played the genie and this came out when I was a kid. You're wasting airspace with these videos. My guy, if you had just watched the video past the 30-second mark, you would have known that I agreed with you. This one says, they took the movie down because he was high off coke and it was a trending kids movie. Yes, because as we all know, 90s films were famously devoid of drugs, especially the sets of children's movies. Not an ounce of drug in sight, just ask Macaulay Culkin. Next up, this one says, sorry, not going with the movie names are so similar that Shaquille O'Neal and Sinbad get confused as the same person. No, not doing it. I have seen Hollywood rip-off movies many times. One studio did it this way, another did it their way. 2 movies out at the same time about the same thing. Truman Show, Ed TV, Ants, Bugs Life, Armageddon, Deep Impact, etc., etc., etc. Why not this one? So this user does bring up a good point. This does happen in Hollywood quite often, and when it happens, they're called twin films. That is, films that were released around the same time and have similar plots but were made by different studios. What this comment fails to realize is that this isn't a case of twin films being made because, as I've stated countless times, this movie did not exist. This next one I don't even really have a rebuttal for. I just wanted to post it because I really appreciate the interaction. I'll just show it to you. This guy says 50 million people worldwide remember this movie Shazam. And this other guy just replies, where did you get that stat from? And he just says, what resonates true? What does that mean? And the other guy just replies, so you just made it up? I see you, man. You tried your best, my guy, and I salute you, but we both know that this was completely in vain from the beginning. And I've saved the best for last because we have come to quite possibly the greatest comment I've ever gotten on anything I've ever made, and it is a doozy. Here it is. Wait until you discover that long-term memories aren't even stored in your brain. LOL. As soon as you said, I'm a who likes Reddit, I knew you were going to come up with some stupid explanation that attempts to discount the veracity of the widely recognized effect that millions of non-NPC soul-hosted bodies are experiencing without a doubt. But to be honest, I assumed that for those of us to explain this phenomenon to people like yourself would be like trying to describe colors to the blind. If you are lucky, someday you'll even discover that God is real and you've been lying to yourself and others for years while boasting your massive brain powers. Alternatively, you are actually just an NPC at the end of the day. Best of luck either way. Winky face. So according to this dude, since I was able to surmise a rational explanation for this kind of phenomenon, I am actually an NPC existing in a world where bodies with souls are mixed with bodies without souls. And as an NPC, my feeble brain would simply be unable to comprehend the complexity of this interdimensional rift, and any attempt to explain it would break my coding and make me start ragdolling like a dying Skyrim character. But this dude also throws a whole wrench into everything by making it about God at the end. So I only need to ask this: is God just a man playing games at his computer, sipping on dew and awaiting fresh tendies from his overly protective mother? Does he only control a small number of characters in this game, the soul bodies, if you will? And am I just an NPC destined for a brutal vanquishing from a powerful protagonist? Because if that's the case, please hurry up. I'm tired. Now, I was almost done here, but I still have one of the worst things that anybody has ever said to me. Dude, are you ever gonna take a drink of that pop? Now, normally I wouldn't address this sort of comment, but I got several accusations from one user in particular, whose comments have since been unfortunately deleted and I wasn't able to get screenshots of, that I was an NPC for not drinking this fucking Coke on camera. So here it goes. Here's what I'm gonna do to make you all satisfied. Oh God, are you satisfied? That's what I thought. So that's really all I have for you on this one, guys. Let me know if this sort of format worked for you or if it didn't. I haven't done a commentary style video in a while and I thought this would be fun. It wasn't very fun. It gave me brain damage, I feel like. You know, you live and learn. It's fine. It's fine. Remember to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any new videos, and give me a like, leave a comment, and maybe next time you'll be featured in one of these videos. You know, who knows? As always, my name is Isiah and thank you for watching my video.